much. But anyways, congratulations, Owen, on this. Such a fun movie, and I think it's got a bit of a different spin to it. And is that what appealed to you? You know.
Well, I think what appealed to me was, first of all, the chance to work with Jim Brooks, just because, you know, when you look at kind of, you know, the movies that he's done, or, you know, even the television shows with The Simpsons and, you know, Taxi and Mary Tyler Moore, and I mean, it's hard to think of someone who, you know, has his body of work. So it was just very exciting to, you know, when he called, just asked me to take a look at the script. At that point, he hadn't even said that he was considering me for a part, so I was happy.
Because he was, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't even sure. So when I was reading it, and my character's name at that point was Manny, so I was saying, like, well, what is he think? He must be thinking of me for the Paul Rudd character. I was, you know, I couldn't quite figure out. And then we spoke, and he said, well, let's, you know, get together and talk. And that ended up being kind of one of the funnest processes, because, you know, I've known Jim for, you know, he's the person who brought us out to Los Angeles and produced our first movie. So meeting him in this context, where we would just kind of sit around and talk about the script and, you know, kind of tell funny stories and interesting stories, was one of the best times for me.
Well, he's a genius at dialogue, and there's so many, you know, iconic lines now, you know, in this movie. And you've done a lot of comedies. Do you think more so for romantic comedies or comedies in general that there has to be that great chemistry with the cast?
Well, I feel like that the great chemistry with the cast, it's sort of, you know, the thing I've learned about chemistry is if the movie does well, they say you had great chemistry. If it doesn't do well, you know, the chemistry. But yeah, if the movie does great, then everybody had wonderful chemistry. I think with this movie that, you know, I didn't really, you know, it was kind of, you know, the way the story kind of was, Paul was kind of working, all my scenes were kind of with Reese, and so we had a great time. And of course, then I would ask Paul about working with Jack Nicholson, and, you know, because that's a very exciting thing. And yeah, it's a great cast, a very exciting cast to be a part of.
You were quite amazing in it, and I have to say, you know, your character was a bit of a jackass. But
he's a bit? A bit,
yeah. But that's what was so funny about it. But you still made him likable.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of a credit to kind of, you know, the way Jim kind of wrote the character, because it wasn't, I don't think, supposed to be, when he initially started, as, you know, a big a character as he ended up being. And I think it's just because Jim had fun writing the character.
He did. He said he couldn't stop. So.
Yeah, and I think it was because it was, I think every guy can kind of relate to kind of Manny, and kind of, you know, it does, you know, he's very honest about who he is. And yes, he's like a womanizer, but it's not, it really does seem to be motivated by, you know, a hedonist in the best sense of the word, just wants to have fun. You know, it's not some, you know, cynical kind of thing.
Speaking of honest, your character says a lot of things, and, you know, that one great scene when you're talking to your teammates, you know, about how do you know you're in love, and Owen, how do you know?
How do you know when you're in love?
When you're in love?
It was, I have like different, I mean, how do you know? I think sometimes it's like making like little compromises, or like, you know, endearing, you know, qualities that with another person might irritate you. All of a sudden this person, you think, oh, that's so cute. So maybe those are kind of indications, but really the more kind of, you know, profound thing is you just kind of meet someone, and, you know, soulmate's probably too strong a word, but the idea of meeting someone who you just feel great around, or that you just kind of, you know, that you really just love being around.
It's half the battle, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Okay.